of the place. So yeah, I walked around that Sonic lunch with this camera and tiptoed right to the crowd.
Yeah, I know. It's very...
It can make you kind of dizzy. It's not... I don't know. I haven't watched the whole thing either. But,
I only watched,
but it was...
3 minutes in, so
Yeah.
I didn't even see the show. But it is cool how it's almost like you forget that someone's attached to that camera.
Really?
If that makes sense.
Well, it's like you're there.
Like you're there and walking through. So it's really cool. Because people, other than maybe just one or two, they don't even react to it.
No, you don't notice it. Some of them do. So one of them pointed out, that's that kind of camera, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, some of them. But I find them to be really interesting because, well, first of all, I don't know if it rendered fully, but if you watch it maybe a couple days from now, it'll be the clearest video you've ever seen. And like people that are, hundreds of yards down the street, you'll be able to tell who they are. Wow. And the technology of this is like this camera only costs about $200, and yet it films at a spec rate which is incredibly, high resolution.
Yeah.
And so you can so anybody can make these YouTube videos for anybody else to see. Yeah. That's the cool thing.
It is.
And so that's what I'm looking at as far as, my profession. And I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to brand it and monetize it. For now, I'll just continue to experiment.
Yeah.
But having Ann Arbor as kind of the base of it all, because I've covered so much of the area on the bike.
Yeah.
Like going out to the botanical gardens is so much fun. Have you been there?
Yeah, I lived right there.
At the botanical? Oh, that's right, by Flint Inn.
I lived at Plymouth Road in Dixville.
That's right.
There. So I would go for walks in there all the time. Especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Walk in the woods.
Yes, it's great. And the path that they put from, right through there, I think it was a couple years ago. And that the Parker Mill Park.
Oh, that, right. I have biked through that.
Yeah.
But if you get off the bike and go into the woods, and walk
I haven't done that. So,
that's what I would do.
I see.
Just walk in the woods. I love that. Have you been to Bird Park?
Pardon?
Have you been to Bird Park?
Bird?
Yeah. And you can hike all through the woods. And it's one of my favorites.
Is it?
I mean, it's not Bird Park. Walking in the woods and just listening to it.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know what it is.
I remember walking through Muir Woods out in San Francisco. Beautiful.
I didn't get to go.
They have one tree that they put a fence around, and it's like the biggest tree in the world. And it's amazing. And it's right on that coast there, which means you don't get bad weather that would knock them over. Like if you had tornadoes and hurricanes like in Florida, those trees wouldn't exist. But it's so stable from that, but maybe not stable earthquake-wise. But as far as the ecosystem, it's just, it takes so many, to support those trees is really amazing.
I love it out there, but I even was looking at jobs at UC Davis. It's so expensive though.
Well,
I thought that would be most of the I just loved it out there, and that's what he loved about it too, because that city has everything. Because you do the hiking.
But oh my God, getting over those hills, driving. Mission Street, oh my God.
My son lived on Mission.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't handle it.
I took a video of myself. I should show it to you right now. I'm hopping up one of these hills. We had already been we're going to this hike. My son took me to Twin Peaks, which is the highest point in San Francisco. Before even getting to the trail to get to Twin Peaks, we had to go up this incline, like a 24.
Is that Coit Tower? The highest point in San Francisco. Anyway.
I mean, I bet you can hike too.
I got it.
I thought. And I took a video of myself Are you interested?
Yes, I am. Please.
I need to get food.
Yeah, you know, I was going to suggest that too.
Yeah, I need to get food.
Yeah.
Although I have a good buzz going, it feels good, but I gotta get food.
Precisely. And we're winning. We're winning the game. That helps.
I know it does.
I have sat through so many recent Michigan games that have been total effing bombs.
Effing. You said effing. Yeah.
My parents never swore. And so that's
My
probably...
parents never said the F.
No. I mean, my parents would never would have said ass or hell. Those...
Mine didn't either. I picked it up all on my own.
Yeah, me too. I picked it up at
What?
Easter.
Yeah, Taylor.
So when you went to high school, it was 10th grade starting?
Yeah.
We talked about that. That was good. For back then, that was new. For our generation to have high school start at 10th grade?
No, I thought that was old. Oh, that was new. But then it went back. We
Did
reverted
it?
back.
To
I
ninth
thought most
grade.
people now, at least for my kids, 9th grade was high school.
Is it really that case now?
Yeah, and it
Okay.
was for my, and we called it junior high.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's middle school.
Yeah. I like junior high. I went to Waller Junior High. I'll show you my yearbooks. You won't be impressed.
What?
I'll show you my yearbooks.
Oh, here's one of the photos when I was up there. This is the thing I was in one of those highs.
Exactly.
Where's my light?
Mission Point,
No, it's called Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Mission.
Here I am walking. And I go, "Ooh, I'm doing it. This is Abba, who is Michael's girlfriend at the time. She's way ahead of me because I'm, they're 30-some plus years younger than me. But, oh wait. It doesn't even look that big in the picture. It doesn't at all. But this is like one of those big hills. You can hit the play button.
Oh, wow.
You can hear me talking and huffing, but you probably can't hear it. Yeah, you probably can't.
It's one easy. It's not easy. I heard you say that. Oh my gosh, look at that. So what if you drop something?
I know.
Like a bag
my
of
water
oranges.
bottle.
Oh shit.
So I love.
So is that where Michael lived?
Huh?
Is that where Michael lived?
No, not near here. Oh, here's the view down. That's from the top of the hill.
Oh yeah.
And then we still aren't even to where we're going to start our hike yet,
So you hike through the city like that?
Hike to the city to get to this.
To get to that.
Let's get up there. And then here we are at the top.
Wow, I don't know where. So it's called Twin Peaks. Where exactly is it?
Well, let's see. Because
Because I did Lombard Street.
Isn't iPhone show?
It should. I have to get a new phone. That's one of my. Okay, so.
I love this about iPhones. You get the picture of the.
Yeah. So I stayed from Mission, Castro. I went to the Presidio. I love the Presidio. They have buildings there that are for
I went to the Presidio
nonprofit.
this year.
They
When
have-
I went in July, just 6 weeks ago, whatever.
I love. That's a huge area that they've totally. You can't develop.
Yeah.
So when I was there for a very good reason. And I went to Chinatown and ate at the McDonald's just so I could
Tell
talk
me
about
that. Oh, I got a story about Chinatown. I've been to San Francisco like 8 times. I don't know why I've been there so many times, but I have.
And you know what? I never laid eyes on the Transamerica Pyramid building. All the time that I was there, because it would come to mind and I was like, well, I can't see it. And I didn't go look for it, but I never did see it.
Yeah.
Because it's really...
I've been there so many times. In fact, I went through a phase where I didn't really like San Francisco that much, but then when my son moved there, and then he was showing me, let's go here, let's go. Then I fell in love with it.
Oh yeah. So
And then I'll show you where my son lives, because I took this here. So where were you? Where did you stay?
well, I was near Market Street. I was near the Marriott. I was there for a conference where I got an award for my readings for the blind.
An award for what?
For my assisted media, the best nonprofit streaming site. I've got to tell you more about that. It's really interesting. It involves Peter Gabriel.
Really?
Okay, so I've got to tell you
I think
this.
I'm too sad. I'm sorry.
Okay, so in 1999,
So wait, what year did you go there?
1999,
Okay. I'll show you where my son lives, so if you're interested. Are you interested?
yes, I am. So there was 1999 Real Networks, the company that did streaming media on the internet, had an award for the best websites of the year. And so they had a category of nonprofit websites. And so my Readings for the Blind was a nonprofit
Wait, you've
website.
been doing it for that long?
Yes, I've been doing. Yeah. So, well, it was the first year because it was awarded to sites that started that year. The other website was Peter Gabriel had a website called witness.org, which is still in effect, which means you take a camera and you film political injustices or human rights violations and you expose them. Oh my God, George Floyd. It's still an important thing. And he's the celebrity that started that.
Really?
So it was me against him and a few others. They gave the award to me.
Based on what filming? What did you...
No, I did my readings. Mine was audio.
Oh, yours is audio, right?
Audiobooks for the blind.
Yeah, you
Which,
said, I'm sorry. I got all caught up in the George Floyd thing.
so the Readings for the Blind is a direct solution. A blind person can go there and hear something and do nothing. They've gotten their solution. With Witness, it's different. It's an interim. Justice hasn't been served by filming it. And so I thought I was given the award for a more direct solution. Or something like, anyway, I got the award and they flew me out there, and it's when Mark Cuban, it's when I got to know Mark Cuban, and one of the
shark thing, I don't really know.
And you know who was
never really watched it.
There was a panel of judges and Jeff Bezos was on. And I'll tell you more about that. So I go out to San Francisco and I get this award, and I'm like, this is going to be easy. And it hasn't been, but anyway, it was then.
Yeah,
So they gave me $10,000.
wow, really?
Mark Cuban. So I fly home, and so why did Peter Gabriel not get it? I never knew why. So I went to his website, and I went to, now, you know what a 501c3 is?
I think so.
It's a you are registered to the IRS.
So when people give to it,
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
Precisely. So when I said to the people in Ann Arbor, I want to start a reading program for the blind, the New Yorker, because of my father, blah, blah, blah. He said, get your IRS status immediately, 501c3. So I did that. So I went to the Michigan State Cooley Law School and had a 4L student draft articles of incorporation, bylaws, and I was very official. It's a nonprofit. When I applied for this award, Peter Gabriel's staff didn't do that. They were not official. They were not qualified. Now, do you think they would have invited him had he won it? I think they would have been better off as a company to give Peter Gabriel that award and invite him out there, because David Erdody isn't Peter Gabriel. But they did give the award to me. And I give them credit, and the person who's in charge.
What company? Who awarded?
Real Network. Rob Glazer. He's a legendary figure in the history of computing, and he's very liberal. He was so disgustingly anti-Trump to the point
What's
of
his name?
Robert Glazer.
Not to be confused with who's the Ron Howard partner, another Glazer.
Brian
Glazer.
Glazer. Exactly.
His name is what?
Rob. Glazer with an S.
Oh, with an S.
I think, anyway. So, that was my trip out. And so what happened while I was out there is I was at a session on audio recording, and the guy sitting behind me was from C-SPAN. I looked behind me, and I see he had C-SPAN on it, and I'm a C-SPAN junkie. I was a C-SPAN junkie.
Really?
And so I talked to him, I turned to him and mentioned C-SPAN that there was a series called Book Notes where there were author interviews. So they would interview nonfiction authors on C-SPAN all the time. And that clued me into a lot of the material to read for the blind, because I only did nonfiction. Remember how I said I never do fiction?
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm except for John Grisham. So that guy set me up to meet with the founder and chairman of C-SPAN, Brian Lamb, in Washington. So fast forward a couple of years. As a nonprofit, I needed board members, and this guy from C-SPAN, Tom, we hit it off, and and we're in touch to this day.
Wow.
So I go to C-SPAN in the morning because Brian Lamb is going to give me an hour of his time because he's interested in the readings I do for the blind. So I go to the lobby and I sign in, and the name above me is Gary Hart. Remember Gary Hart, the presidential candidate that had...
Yeah. All the hair.
Yeah. So I sign in, and I look over, and there's Gary Hart standing. Me and him are standing in the lobby.
Wait, you're signing in where now?
At C-SPAN.
Okay, sorry.
So in court.
I hope
I'm telling it all right.
Right?
I hope I'm telling it all right.
Right. I just hope I can retain it. So next time we're together, I'll go, tell me the story again about C-SPAN.
I'm Peter Gabriel.
Because I was really drunk and Stella. No, sorry. Peter Gabriel and Gary Hart and David Doty. Okay.
So I'm
This
standing.
is in San Francisco, right?
No, this is in Washington.
I need food.
Yeah.
I need food. Okay, so now you're in Washington.
I'm at C-SPAN,
Yeah.
standing with Gary Hart, and he's much shorter. I'm like,
Are you serious?
yeah. And now Gary Hart was kind of like a John Kennedy kind of dashing figure with the hair, and he looked so elderly, standing next to him, and I'm standing to him like I'm looking at you, and he looked at me. We were both looking at the showcase of the C-SPAN Awards. So then all of a sudden a young staffer comes out to get Gary Hart. He's the guest on the morning show. So he goes off. So there goes Gary. So the next thing I know, Brian Lamb, the founder and chairman of C-SPAN, in his shirt sleeves, comes out and greets me. And I'm walking down the hallway thinking, Gary Hart got shown off by a staffer, and I get the chairman of C-SPAN.
Yeah.
So I sit in his office and we're chatting, and I said, yeah, I ran into Gary Hart in the lobby, and Brian Lamb, who never reveals anything personally or opinion-wise on the air, he's like poker face, you know. And he said that Gary Hart was the first national politician to talk about terrorism.
Talk about what?
Terrorism. Before 9/11, before, like when he was running for president and had to drop out. And he had a lot of good things to say about it, and it was really interesting to get that kind of insight from Brian Lamb about him. And so as we were sitting in his office, Hart was already, he had monitors in his office, and so I was watching Gary Hart being interviewed, and I'm like, wow, this is like really cool.
Oh my God, what experiences you had.
So what he did at that meeting, I said, Brian, I wanted to develop readings for the blind. So he hooked me up with that New York publisher that I think I told you about, that I was just recently in contact with, and it didn't work out. And so this series from San Francisco, Peter Gabriel, Brian Lamb, New York publisher, which led to an almost New York, something in the New Yorker during Father's Day. You know, I think I mentioned that the New Yorker was interested in what I was doing because it started because of the New Yorker.
Yes.
And so that's the story.
Got it.
It is.
So wait, are you doing the audio for the New Yorker?
Not only when I can.
Okay.
So when you mention an article like the one that you do, okay, so let me back up.
Okay, wait, I need food.
Yes.
Maybe with food, but I gotta look at the menu.
Okay, so that's fine.
Yep, yep.
Did you want another one?
Not yet. I need food. I'm gonna.
Yeah.